Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adrian Lombardo. I am a Life Governor of the Shrine. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all here today as members of the 29th 46th family. And it's just fantastic to see how many young people are here continuing the tradition today. So fantastic. Welcome, and just to remind you that we are being live streamed, so we all have to be on our best behaviour. We begin the service with a welcome to country. We embrace the diversity of our community and acknowledge the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which we honour Australian Defence Force service and sacrifice. We pay our respects to elders past and present. I'll now march on the guard. Shrine Guard, take post. Thank you, Mr. Crawford.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to welcome everybody here today. Thank you for joining us as we gather to carry on the important duty of honouring those who made the ultimate sacrifice in their service to our country. I especially wish to welcome a group of ladies today. I wrote in our last newsletter that Mr. Ray Kirby of Sydney was the last of our veterans to pass away, and Ray has representing him today 4 of his 6 daughters, 3 of whom came down from Sydney for the event. So thank you, ladies. There they are there, and welcome. I'd also like to welcome those who might be looking at us on stream, the live coverage. Welcome to you all. Yes, Ray was a veteran who passed away at age 100 years and 4 days. So sad to have his passing, but thank him for his service. So welcome Helen, Julie, Geraldine and Julie, and Eileen, sorry. I'd like to introduce now our President, Mr. Jim Sowersby. Jim, of course, is one of the sons of long-time serving Secretary, Mr. Brian Sowersby, deceased, and thank you, Jim, for your address.
Good afternoon. I welcome you all to the annual... Thanks. Good afternoon. I welcome you all to the annual wreath-laying ceremony of the 29th 46th Infantry Battalion. I begin also by acknowledging the traditional custodians of land on which we meet today and pay my respects to the elders past and present, and acknowledge the Indigenous members of the 29th 46th Battalion. This is a very important year in the history of the 29th 46th Battalion because it is the 80th anniversary of the occasion that the men of the battalion first went into action. On page 33 of the battalion's history book, it says, "Long before dawn on the 5th of December 1943, the battalion was ready for the most momentous day in its history. For most of the men, it will be their first experience of battle at close quarters." In a few minutes' time, Committee Member Karen Green is going to read out the names of the battalion's roll of honour. Of the 39 men who died during the war, 27 were killed in the space of 18 days between the 5th of December and the 23rd of December 1943. 20 years ago, on the 60th anniversary, the battalion held a special commemoration service to mark the first occasion that they went into battle. Afterwards, my father, Brian Sowersby, became visibly agitated in one of the extremely rare occasions that he told us anything about a serious event in the war, saying that the first time they went into action was terrible, with the death of so many of their army mates. It was something he only ever spoke about again on his deathbed. During the war, the men of the battalion made a solemn vow that those who survived the war would assemble at the shrine every year as long as they were able to conduct a special commemoration ceremony to honour the memory of their brothers in arms who made the supreme sacrifice. Obviously, they chose the first Sunday in December because that would be the day that would be close to the anniversary of the first time they went into action. Among the first names to be read up by Karen will be Norm Hirons and George Flynn. They were in fact actually killed before the battalion went into action. Adrian Palazzo wrote a book entitled Defenders of Australia, Citizen Soldiers in the Service of Australia, which has a picture of not only Australia's most famous citizen soldier, but the person who did more than anyone else to ensure that the shrine was built, namely Sir John Monash on the front cover. On page 113, Albert Palazzo describes what happened to Norm Hirons and George Flynn. The Army chose Milne Bay as the first assignment for the battalion because by that time it was a relatively quiet area in which to introduce green troops to combat conditions. Enemy stragglers remained in the area, and Lawrence Armstrong of the 29th 46th Battalion remembers a couple of skirmishes while on patrol. Air raids were also common. The 29th 46th Battalion suffered its first combat casualties on the 22nd of March 1943 when bombs from Japanese planes hit its headquarters, killing Captain Norm Hirons and Lieutenant George Flynn. Moving on to the present day, AFL football legend Ron Barassi died recently. Some of you may have heard that before he died, Barassi left very strict instructions that the only charity to be supported at his memorial service was to be Legacy. Barassi made this decision because he was so grateful for the support that Legacy gave him during his childhood years after his father, Ron Barassi Sr., also a Melbourne Premiership player, was killed in action at Tobruk in 1941 when Ron was 5 years old. Legacy also supported some of the families connected with the 29th 46th Battalion. It is particularly important this year to highlight the work of Legacy because it is celebrating its centenary, having been founded 100 years ago in 1923 by Sans Savage in between the time he was an officer in World War I and a top-ranking general in World War II. The founder of Legacy also has a connection with our battalion family because, like a significant proportion of the men of the 29th 46th Battalion, Sam Savage spent his formative years growing up in Korumburra. 80 years after 1943, very sadly, the world is again in a very dangerous place. Speaking here at this sacred place, what can you say? We can only hope that by the time the 81st anniversary comes around, there's been an outbreak of peace in the Middle East, in Ukraine, in Sudan, as well as all the other world's troubled spots. Our veterans maintain their solemn promise as long as they are capable of doing so. By your attendance here today on the 80th anniversary of that time that the brave men of the 29th 46th Battalion first went into action, you have continued to uphold the sacred vow made by the survivors to honour their comrades who lost their lives during the war. I thank you for doing so.
Thank you, Jim. Representatives of the family helping us today will be, first of all, Miss Karen Green, who is the daughter of veteran Brian Green and a niece of veteran Tom Green, both who were brothers in the 29th 46th. Karen will read the names on the honour roll and later will recite the ode. And also laying the wreath for us today is the family of Mr. Bill Gregory, veteran, deceased, and that's Michael and other family members who will be laying the wreath. I did earlier forget to mention that we're represented today by Mr. Alan McGuinness, who is representing not only the 29th 46th and his dad, but also the Korumburra RSL. So thank you, Alan. Where are you? Oh, okay, thank you, Alan. Okay, well, now I'll invite Karen Green to recite the, or to read the honour roll. Thank you.
Okay, men who gave their lives on active service in New Guinea. Norm Peterson Roy Deslandis, Ern Neela, Jack Stevenson, Norm Hirons, Eric Hunter, Vic Weatherall, Ivan Woods, Walter Alcock, Neil Joyce, Alan Blythe, Jack Carroll, Stan Home, Ron Saunders, Les Elliott, Neville Stenner, George Flynn, Max Smith, Reg Eustace, Alf Jones, Gib McLaren, Alan Parr, Keith Punton, Bob Watson, Theo Bryce, Frank Bennett, Frank Stamford, Alan Evans, Ed Harris, Norm Clark, Ben McMullen, Ollie Wormsley, Cam Henry, Dudley Pollard, Henry Pilgrim, Alf Pearson, John Berryman, Jack Richardson and Charlie Plowright, lest we forget.
Thank you. Could I now invite the Gregory family to lay the wreath?
They shall grow not old, as they that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Governor, Lieutenant Adrian Lombardo. Special thank you to Mr. Dale Capron, who is the events organiser here at the Shrine. So thank you, Dale, for organising the day wonderfully well again. There are some people here for the first time, some already mentioned, others I haven't mentioned, but I would like you all, if possible, to assemble down on the area down beyond the desk in the ground floor for a bite to eat and a cup of tea or soft drink or something like that. If you do not know somebody and wonder who they are, walk up to them and say, "Oh, I'm Ray Kirby's daughter. Who is your veteran?" Or "I'm Jack Crawford's son. Who is your veteran?" Okay, make yourself known to somebody else, because it's you who will make this show get better and better and better. So thanks for everybody, and we'll hope to see you down there in a few minutes. There is a lift out this way, and there are stairs as well. So thanks for coming. Good on you.